Anybody that attacks Pakistan, Afghanistan will stand with Pakistan. Afghanistan will be a brother of Pakistan. Afghanistan will never betray a brother. Afghanistan is not going to be dictated in any way by any country, US or India. Afghanistan has its own policy, its own stand, its own clear view on things. And from that point of view, from that stand, it's dealing with our brothers in Pakistan.
Hello and welcome to Talk to Jazeera. Our guest today is a man who has a crucial yet challenging job. Mr. Amrullah Saleh is the head of Afghanistan's intelligence agency. He has held that post since 2002. Before that, he was the intelligence aide of the assassinated Northern Alliance leader, Ahmad Shah Massoud. Mr. Saleh, thank you for joining us. Afghanistan is still at war. How important is intelligence gathering in this war? How important is your role?
The work this organization is doing is very important. We provide intelligence for our policymakers, to our president, to our National Security Council, to Ministry of Defense, our Ministry of Interior, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have very good close working relationship with ISAF and NATO forces in Afghanistan. We do provide significant amount of intelligence, which sometimes lead to action, which sometimes helps the policymakers to rethink or review the policy. So it is this organization is playing a very important role.
Are you satisfied with the role it has played? You say sometimes it hasn't helped. We've seen a number of high-profile attacks in Kabul over the past few months, and apparently intelligence information was either lacking or you failed.
Well, we will never be satisfied. This is a very challenging and difficult work. And in the meantime, as you just mentioned, people of Afghanistan, media, and our political masters, they count our failures.
Can we talk about the cooperation between the Afghan National Intelligence as well as the other security organs like the police and the army? How much cooperation is there?
Well, this is a very good question. We are not the only intelligence service in Afghanistan. We very much want to be the principal intelligence organization in the country. But our Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, they have intelligence services of their own. And also we have a financial intelligence unit created recently in the Afghan Central Bank. And also the International Security Assistance Force has a remarkable intelligence component. And then countries who have contributed troops, they also have intelligence activities in Afghanistan, both for protection of their troops under the umbrella of ISAF. So therefore, I'm not alone here doing this.
But is that positive when you have many security agencies operating and there seems to be a lack of coordination at times?
It is not positive. There must be one lead intelligence service. In principle, we are that lead intelligence service in this country. But in practice, there are other entities working here. We do have Intelligence Fusion Center. We meet very regularly to share information with other friends and colleagues about the situation, about the operations, about the threats we receive, and about measures we take to deter those threats. There is coordination, but all of the intelligence activities conducted in this country do not necessarily fall under our umbrella.
So are you suggesting that if all these security agencies fall under one institution, then it will be able to work better and maybe thwart more attacks?
Well, I'm not saying that if all of these other intelligence entities fall under us, that will be the solution for everything. But the situation will be better.
So you don't think there's a serious threat that security organs could be infiltrated by the Taliban or the enemies of the Afghan government?
It's a serious matter. We are always watchful of it. But it is not a big concern for us at the moment because we are very confident of the loyalty, dedication, gallantry, and commitment of the security forces of Afghanistan.
Sir, who is your enemy? Is it the Afghans, foreigners, Pakistan Intelligence Service, Iranians, others?
Whoever threatens the national interest of Afghanistan is our enemy.
So who is your enemy?
It can be anybody. Whoever is against our national interest is our enemy.
You, along with Afghan officials, have repeatedly accused the Pakistani intelligence services of being behind the attacks here in Afghanistan. What kind of proof do you have that they are behind these attacks?
Piles and piles of evidence we have to support our claim. And when we went public to let our people and let the world know what we were facing, it was not the first step. We had tried before that to work with the Pakistanis, to convince them to cooperate with us, to be honest and serious in what they were saying publicly, war against terror. But as we faced disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, we had to tell our people what was going on because we could not secure their wholesale cooperation in the war against terror. So we got frustrated and we had to share that evidence with media and with public. And I am standing by what I have said in that regard.
Before discussing the evidence, when you accuse Pakistan as the intelligence service, do you accuse the institution or do you accuse rogue elements within that institution?
We have never bought into this concept of rogue element. Pakistan Army is a very professional army. It's a very disciplined army. Pakistan military is a very disciplined military. ISI draws it as a staff and personnel and officers from Pakistan military. There can't be rogue elements in that military. So when they do it, it is based on their intention and policy. Rogue element does not make sense. It has never made sense to us, and it's not making any sense now. It is impossible for a rogue element to have access to cash, to weapons, to airports, to seaports, to government secrets, and to formulate a policy for a country. No, it's not the case.
So you say you have a lot of piles and piles of evidence. It's a very big accusation. Can you give us an example? Any intelligence information, for example, that you provided the Pakistani side with, for example, any information on a top leader of the Pakistani Taliban or the Taliban or Al-Qaeda?
First of all, the expectation of the Pakistani intelligence service from us is unrealistic because they want us to tell them what is happening in their country. That by itself in its very nature is wrong. They know what's going on in their country. Number two, let's say we deal with unrealistic expectation or demand of the Pakistani intelligence that we should tell them who is using their soil against us. We have done that. We have done that. There are training camps in Pakistan in which they train insurgents, send them over to Afghanistan. Every case related to terrorism, violence in Afghanistan that we have investigated over the past 6 years, or we are currently having under investigation, is in one way or another having a link to Pakistan. In one way or another. We arrested 7 people about 10 days ago from Paktia province. They had come from a very fresh training a week before they were arrested. If you wish, you can go and interview them where they were trained.
Who were they?
They were trained in Duabi area of Pakistan and NWFP.
What were their nationalities?
They are Afghans. 2 of them are, all of them are Afghans, but in the class they were trained, there were some Pakistanis also trained as well.
Sir, you've repeatedly said that would-be suicide bombers who have been captured by the security services in Afghanistan are Pakistani nationals who say that they've been trained or funded in Pakistan. Actually, we met 2 of those would-be suicide bombers actually here in the intelligence agency headquarters. They were being kept in the jail here. And when we were questioning them, they didn't seem to bring up the fact that, you know, the Pakistanis were behind their attacks. What they said was that they were doing this or allied to Islamic groups and doing this for the sake of jihad.
Where?
Here.
Where they were trained.
They did not say where they were trained. They refused to say. They did not have any, they denied being in any way connected with the Pakistanis.
That's the difference between Al Jazeera and an intelligence service. So you cannot find the depth of the problem just by interviewing a suspect.
So you say you have all this hardcore evidence that the Pakistani military and the intelligence are behind the attacks. Why do you think they're doing this? What is their aim?
You better ask them.
After the break, we're going to ask Mr. Saleh what he thinks the solutions are to end the violence in Afghanistan. Okay, back to Pakistan, the tribal belt, the lawless areas of Pakistan. Do you think, you know, the strongholds of, you know, the Taliban or foreign fighters, do you think the Pakistani government has lost control of those areas?
No.
Why?
When did they try to control it?
They have launched a lot of military operations against the groups there.
When?
Over the past few months, and we're seeing now a major military operation in the Bajur region.
I'm not sure. I'm not seeing any Pakistan military activity in Miram Shah.
Why would you want military activity specifically there? What kind of information do you have?
Because that's where terrorist groups are headquartered. And of course, for arresting the Taliban Leadership Council in Quetta, you don't need a military operation. You just go and soft knock their safe houses and arrest them. Why they should need military operations? They have allowed these massive anti-Afghan propaganda out of their soil. That doesn't need military operation. Taliban leaders are living in Hayat-Abad township in Peshawar. That's the elite district of Peshawar. Pakistan military does not need to launch military operation in Hayat-Abad. They can go and arrest these leaders of Taliban.
You think by arresting the leadership, the Taliban or the enemies of the Afghan government will just go away?
You just mentioned that Pakistan's military operations. I am saying to you, why military operations? What we truly and indeed want to see in Pakistan is political will to fight terrorism.
But is there an ability? I mean, Pakistan is facing a lot of instability now. I mean, there's more attacks, more suicide bombings in Pakistan than there are in Afghanistan at the moment.
That is the leakage of their wrong policy.
So,
and they know it.
Can you elaborate on that wrong policy that you're talking about?
The wrong policy was that these extremists are weapons of a strategic importance at the hands of Pakistan and can only be used against Afghanistan. The leakage of that wrong policy is now that they are facing some problems in their own country. But we are not seeing evidence. I am repeating it. We are not seeing evidence of the relevant Pakistani institutions is strongly acting against these elements in the Pakistani soil. One of the masterminds of the Indian embassy bombing in Kabul, he lives in an area in Pakistan for arrest of whom you don't need a military force. You just send 2 security agents and he will be arrested. And they know who he is.
Who is he?
I'm not going to say that to the media, but they know because we have sent that information through relevant channels and they know who he is.
But some in Pakistan actually accuse your agency of sometimes interfering in the affairs in Pakistan's internal affairs.
How?
By providing support to certain tribal elders to actually fight the government and stand up against the Pakistani government. These are accusations made by some Pakistani officials.
We don't need that. Our agenda is very simple. We want peace for Afghanistan. We have no regional ambitions. We are not considering ourselves a core state in this region with regional ambitions.
There has been a lot of talk or calls to take the fight across the border into Pakistan. Would you support that?
Absolutely.
Do you think the US will actually do this and take the fight across the border, the United States?
That's what we have been saying. That when it started, it was called war against international terror. And now everybody knows that tribal areas of Pakistan, in some cases cities of Pakistan, are infiltrated by terrorists. Tribal areas are not only infiltrated but being used as a base by terrorists. So why not to extend this war? If the Pakistan military has the will and the capability to do it, we highly appreciate and welcome it. But if they don't have the will or capability to do it, then the other solution is for the international coalition to do it.
Are you confident that the United States will continue with their commitment? I mean, we know that they're going through a financial crisis at the moment, and they've spent billions of dollars in trying to rebuild Afghanistan. Are you confident that this commitment will continue?
I have to make one point very, very clear. We are fighting for Afghanistan. We are fighting for the people of Afghanistan. And if there are countries helping us in this fight, that is an additional plus. So therefore, regardless of the amount of assistance we get or we don't get, we are fighting for our values.
So what is the best solution now?
As I said, now our interest coincides with that of the United States. So we have a common enemy, we have a common objective, and therefore we request them to put more pressure on Pakistan and to strengthen the Afghan security forces further.
How important are the US elections for Afghanistan?
As we are not part of the, we are not considering ourselves part of the US election politics. So I don't know how important is US elections for us. I think we should rephrase it. How important Afghanistan is for the US elections? And that question I can't answer.
But there are two presidential candidates. You've heard them debate, you've heard their policies. I mean, which one of them do you think understands Afghanistan better?
They are both Americans, and they both know the national interest of United States.
Sir, do you know the whereabouts of Osama bin Laden or Ayman al-Zawahiri? Do you have credible information on where they are?
They are not in Afghanistan. I am very sure and confident of that.
Do you have any credible intelligence on where they could possibly be now?
I don't have actionable intelligence.
Have you ever had credible intelligence
Yes.
over the past 7 years? When was the last time you had?
Of course. We arrested a person who escorted bin Laden and Chitral in the NWFP area of Pakistan, and he is in jail. He's an operative of the Pakistan government, and we have allowed that man occasionally to speak to the media. Yeah. Why not? Yes.
What year was this, sir?
Well, I don't exactly recall, but we arrested that man late 2006.
So that was the last time you had
No,
credible...
that is one case. We have had other reports as well.
Other reports over the past 2 years, since 2006 till today?
We collect reports about the presence of Al-Qaeda every day.
And those reports are passed on to who?
Well, to people who can take action. When it's inside Afghanistan, either we take action ourselves or we share it with ISAF, or if it is outside Afghanistan, we share it to relevant liaison partners we have so they can work on it.
So you're positive if someone takes action on the intelligence information that you provide that you can find Osama bin Laden?
If we manage to bring Pakistan military in a full committed manner in this war, yes.
But they have said in the past that, you know, some of the numbers that you've given them and provided them are either old or they weren't able to...
This is the funny part of it. Why should I tell them where Al-Qaeda lives in Pakistan? They have not been in war like us for 30 years. Their army has not collapsed like ours several times in the past 60 years. They have not been invaded in the past 30 years. They have a functioning institution called army which has never collapsed. Why they wait for me to tell them where is terrorists in their soil? Why? I think that doesn't make sense. Look, they are able to detect everybody else in Pakistan, but not the Taliban, and they wait us to tell them where is an insurgent leader and where is the training ground for them. This is a joke.
Mr. Amrullah, Saleh, thank you
Thank
for
you very
speaking
much.
to us.
Thank you.
Is there?
Well, this is a very good question. We are not the only intelligence service in Afghanistan. We very much want to be the principal intelligence organization in the country. But our Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, they have intelligence services of their own. And also we have a financial intelligence unit created recently in the Afghan Central Bank. And also the International Security Assistance Force has a remarkable intelligence component. And then countries who have contributed troops, they also have intelligence activities in Afghanistan, both for...
Anybody that attacks Pakistan, Afghanistan will stand with Pakistan, Afghanistan will be a brother of Pakistan. Afghanistan will never betray a brother. Afghanistan is not going to be dictated in any way by any country, US or India. Afghanistan has its own policy, its own stand, its own clear view on things. And from that point of view, from that stand, it's dealing with our brothers and Pakistan.
Hello and welcome to Talk to Jazeera. Our guest today is a man who has a crucial yet challenging job. Mr. Amrullah Saleh is the head of Afghanistan's intelligence agency. He has held that post since 2002. Before that, he was the intelligence aide of the assassinated Northern Alliance leader, Ahmad Shah Massoud. Mr. Saleh, thank you for joining us. Afghanistan is still at war. How important is intelligence gathering in this war? How important is your role?
The work this organization is doing is very important. We provide intelligence for our policymakers, to our president, to our National Security Council, to Ministry of Defense, our Ministry of Interior, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have very good close working relationship with ISAF and NATO forces in Afghanistan. We do provide significant amount of intelligence, which sometimes lead to action, which sometimes helps the policymakers to rethink or review the policy. So it is this organization is playing a very important role.
Are you satisfied with the role it has played? You say sometimes it hasn't helped. We've seen a number of high-profile attacks in Kabul over the past few months, and apparently intelligence information was either lacking or you failed.
Well, we will never be satisfied. This is a very challenging and difficult work. And in the meantime, as you just mentioned, people of Afghanistan, media, and our political masters, they count our failures.
Can we talk about the cooperation between the Afghan National Intelligence as well as the other security organs like the police and the army? How much cooperation?
Protection of their troops under the umbrella of ISAF. So therefore, I'm not alone here doing this.
But is that positive when you have many security agencies operating and there seems to be a lack of coordination at times?
It is not positive. There must be one lead intelligence service. In principle, we are that lead intelligence service in this country. But in practice, there are other entities working here. We do have Intelligence Fusion Center. We meet very regularly to share information with other friends and colleagues about the situation, about the operations.